And I think brainwashing in our classrooms is one of the great issues of our time. Most teachers, you know, are left-wing. Lots of them are left-wing lunatics, teaching their kids stuff that they think's important, their ideology. So our schools are in danger of producing generations of people who've been indoctrinated into this kind of guardianist, be kind mentality that isn't very good for this nation. Let's talk to the chairman for the Campaign for Real Education, Chris McGovern. Hello, Chris.
Morning, Kevin. Morning.
So I just laid out what Migrant Help is doing, going into the classrooms to challenge the mindset of pupils. Think about that. What is that? That's a typical sinister sort of Soviet statement, isn't it? That is to teach or to brainwash kids into thinking that migrants coming into the country in their thousands illegally is a very good thing. Meanwhile, you'll be interested in this. I've done a few stories on my evening show, a couple of weeks ago actually. In Wales, there's a primary school where the parents are furious because all of a sudden, unbeknownst to them, a representative of the local mosque was invited into this school to teach the little kids who are 5, 6, 7, 8 years old all about Islam, got them all to get down onto prayer mats to pray in the Muslim way. That triggered, Chris, loads of phone calls to my show. One parent, dad in Liverpool, saying they had a similar situation with their school. Their parents complained. What they were worried about was their little girls were dressed up in hijabs. They didn't know about it. They complained, and guess what happened then? The police came round to quiz them for potential hate crimes. Now, my question to you is, do you agree that this syndrome, if you like, the indoctrination of children, pupils, into a kind of left-wing, Muslim-friendly, be kind to migrants way of thinking? I mean, I'm not against necessarily that opinion, if you form that opinion in adulthood. I don't agree with it, but if you form that opinion in adulthood, that's your right. But these kids, I think their choice, their opinions are being able to form their opinions is being robbed to them by this early indoctrination by left-wing teachers. It is a source of concern, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right to sound the alarm, Kevin, but you're about 30 or 40 years too late, I'm afraid. It's been going on for decades. You know, I taught for 35 years, started teaching in the 70s. It's been going on for a very long time. The current generation of teachers themselves have been brainwashed. But look, if you want to know what's going on in our schools, Kevin, you go into the classroom, ask the white working class kids who are the ones at the top of the class, and they will tell you who's top of the class, who's successful. It's the migrant kids. Now, that's great. Our migrants have been a big success in terms of succeeding in classroom. Just as the Irish went to America, the Italians went to America, they built a new world. And migrants work very hard. And I've worked with these migrant kids, and they're incredibly well motivated. They're not a problem. They're a success story. If there's any money to support kids, it needs to go to the white working class. But in the teaching profession these days, it's all about decolonizing the curriculum. A sense of guilt that if you're white, you're somehow, or ethnic, Saxon, whatever you are, Irish, you're somehow inferior. You had too many privileges in the past. That makes you inferior these days. So you've got to help. They want to help the migrants. Look, nothing wrong with the migrants. They do incredibly well. They are a success story. But I would say to you, and any politician now should go and read the national curriculum for history, which I, by the way, was a party to writing, advised the government on it, and I objected to it. It doesn't require the teaching of a single specific event in British history. You're wearing a puppy, I'm wearing a puppy. We're coming up to November the 11th. But you don't have to teach World War I or World War II as part of the national curriculum. The MPs don't understand this. They don't read the curriculum. It's non-statutory. We've got a massive problem of brainwashing in our schools. We need to teach kids to be proud of our country and migrants to be proud of our country. Any money spare needs to go to the white working class because they're the ones who are failing.
Yeah, a mum texted me on this show yesterday to say that her kids were coming home from school absolutely, you know, cognizant of kind of early rebels in Caribbean culture and, you know, sort of political campaigners in Colombia and God knows where, but did they know anything about the Battle of Waterloo or the Battle of Trafalgar or anything like that? They didn't know anything about our history. This syndrome, as you say, it's kind of, I mean, I don't mind, shall we say, a more universal form of education so that kids are cognizant of what happened in America, what happened in the Caribbean and all that, but not at the expense of British history. This is a cultural disaster, isn't it?
Yeah, and look, and if you look again, go back to that national curriculum for history. It lists what's non-statutory, what you don't have to teach. That's the World Wars. You can if you want to. But there are certain things, Kevin, which you have to teach. On a compulsory list, for example, you have to teach either Islamic history, West African history, or Central American history.
But not British
optional.
history.
No, but not British history. That's optional.
Repeat that again, Chris. Repeat that again. Statutory subjects that have to be taught in British schools are what?
You have to choose from either Islamic history, West African history, or Central American history. That is statutory, but
unbelievable.
It's not statutory about the Battle of Trafalgar or World War I.
That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
I wish MPs would go and read the document. It tells you what's non-statutory, and tells you many times it's non-statutory to teach the great events of British history. You haven't got to teach Churchill, but there's statutory requirement to teach world history. Look, this is where we're going wrong. It's a serious problem. MPs don't wake up. They need to go and read the documents. They need to see what's going on in our schools. But as I say, ask the white working class who is doing well at school. And look, we pity the poor immigrants, as Bob Dylan sang his song about. But look, they're doing well. They're a success story. Celebrate that. Let's help the kids who really need the help. Let's put the money where the help's really needed, the white working class. They are failing in all areas, and we're soaring up trouble for the future.
Chris, well said. Fantastic stuff, but very worrying. Good to talk to you, as always. Thank you. Chris McGovern, chairman of the Campaign for Real Education. Did you hear that? I didn't know that. So it's statutory to do, what was it, West African history, Islamic history, black history, but not British history. That's unbelievable, isn't it?